It's a fantastic advertisement for Youth Speedway, isn't it? And of course, let's remind the folks out there who are streaming or here at the track just what this grade is. You're basically 12 to 15 years old. 12 to 16 years old. You can get a car probably for somewhere around the sort of $4,000 or $5,000 mark on a trailer, and you just go racing. They're pretty cheap to maintain. There's no contact. No intentional. All right, Jared.
All credibility was lost at that point.
Yes, cynicism aside, there's no intentional contact in the grade. They're pretty robust cars. I mean, they're only 1200cc Datsuns, so they don't actually go that fast, really. But it's a great thrill for these guys to get out on the track, and there's so many senior drivers in super stock cars, modified, saloons, all around the country who started in this grade as a youngster.
Yeah, they developed that mini stock syndrome, learned how to drive smooth with no power, and all of a sudden they are at the top end of their class no matter what they're racing. As we wait for the very last car to join in, it's car 54 of Anika Aldridge. Her first time on the track. In fact, that car was Daniel Lamb's car to start the season off as an adult mini stock.
Oh, cool.
And signal's been given. We'll get the push car out of the way. Front row of the grid consists of the 55 of Jordan Anderson and the 8 of Bailey Cooper. We wait for the green and we are away. The 55k lurches off to a start. You see him look down as if to say, what happened there? Find a gear, seeing the gear, and the 55 car is away. But the 116 of Ingram's there, as is the 16. The 71 from Nelson just pushing the 85 car to the wall down the back straight. Almost think we're racing Superstocks. The 55 car straight into EnviroWaste, got a little bit out of shape as the Ingram cars bouncing off each other all over the track. Thank goodness we've got a big track. And Kim Sidaway peels right up through the middle in the Yukon Diesel Spears car. He is right on that outside line, but the 16 of Ingram's come back. So there's great drive down low. You saw the 16 car come off too as we head past the Value Cars Warehouse grandstand. Down into EnviroWaste, the 16 car screams down the outside, brave around the outside, but realises you run out of track if you get wide off 4, as the 85 of Tom Cooper coming through behind the 18 of Sidaway. So it is Anderson and the 55 out in front, followed by Sidaway getting pushed well off his line there by the 85 car, and given a wee bit of a side roll treatment on the way past. Ingram's just joining in the back of them. Let's see if we can go 3 wide down into EnviroWaste. We do. Ingram down low. He's learned his lesson from the previous race. As we look further back, the 23 car into the back of the 8, as it is still very much Anderson in the 55 car, back to Sidaway, then the 16 of Tyler Ingram, Tom Cooper there, Anika in the 54 car is a bit of a bit first of the back markers. She's realising just to keep a hold of the line, let everybody go around her. And it is the 55 of Anderson still in the front, back to Sidaway. We're 4 wide down the front straight, and we're not exactly giving each other a lot of room here. It is a full-on racing right in that middle of the pack, out in front though. 55, Ingram up the inside of Sidaway as the 85 car went for the big dive on the 18, cost himself some track position. As Sidaway up the inside of Ingram, and they're both up the inside of Anderson. He's yielded to the position. Sidaway's taken the benefit out of this. Fair bit of dust being kicked up by these cars as Sidaway heads down into EnviroWaste. We are on lap 6 at the moment, and we're starting to feel a few of the back markers starting to creep up amongst the leaders. As we look further back through the pack, you start to see the likes of 71 there ran really wide as he came off 4 and into the side of the 5 down the front straight. Race leader into EnviroWaste once again. That's the Kaiapoi end of the track. Picking up the 54 car once again. White flag is out for the 18C of Cam Sidaway. We go back to the 16 of Tyler Ingram. And, he's given the 54 car a good wallop. And right on the 16's heels is the 85 of Tom Cooper. Bailey Cooper in the 8 there, not too far. Anderson's fallen back into the pack as Sidaway goes swerves to avoid J.A. Bishop, slaps the wall but takes the race win. Further back to the 16 of Ingram, who right on his inside there was the 85 of Tom Cooper. And the youth mini stocks there definitely going pretty hard in the first race there, Tony.
Absolutely, yeah. Cameron Sidaway taking the win from Tyler Ingram. The fastest lap, it looks like it's 21.82 by Cameron Sidaway. No one else managed to get under the 22-second mark, so that's a good result for him. But most of those top 5 or 6 cars were in the low 22s for their quickest lap. So they've knocked the top off the track surface there. It's looking reasonably racy and fairly good out there. That race was brought to us by Kiwi Auto Spares. Of course, the whole meeting for the Holden Trade Club Saloon Speed Week, presented by Valvoline, is brought to us by Burger King.
As our street stocks will grid up, there's a few driver changes out there, Ivan, and actually one interesting spelling error on the drivers list. Kurt. Anyway, we digress. Levi Van Leishout's back out on the track in car 34 tonight. Now, that is one of the McSherry cars, and the other one that's really interesting in a McSherry car tonight
is the 61.
Is the 61 is Dan McNally, and he's drawn pole for this race.
Now, I suppose with the McSherrys giving up some cars, some of these guys, South Island Street Stock champs next weekend in Nelson, so these guys have to have a run before to qualify for the get into it. So as we're about to go green for the first heat of their street stocks tonight, and the flag's waved. On the outside, the 98 car, Chris Miles, he leads us away at this stage. As they go into their turn 1 and 2, which is normally our 3 and 4, they're going the opposite way. They come out of Enviro Waste. The 98 is leading us into for the first lap. Then we got Paul Leslie in the 27, then young Peterson, or the 2 Peterson sitting in 3rd and 4th. Kirk Aldridge in the 54 as he comes past. He doesn't look like he's missed a beat. Then we've got Glen Redmond in the station wagon, the number 7. Then we go back to the 28, Steve Peterson. As they go through the 46, Shane Jones hits the wall as they go through Enviro Waste. Not much happening at this stage. Field spread out a wee bit. Dan McNally's just rejoining down the back straight. Adrian Fitzgerald on the 71. He shoots up the inside of the 822 of Jesse Robinson. But our leader at this stage is the 27, Paul Leslie in the Transform Paint and Panels. As they go through the turn 3 and 4. 73 is just getting in the way a wee bit. 433, Matt Peterson, he takes over that second spot. Then we go back to Chris Miles in the 98. Then we have Kirk Aldridge in the 54. He's coming up the inside of Miles now as they come out of the corner. 73 just gets turned around by Steve Peterson. That's Jamie McGregor, the 7th car of Redmond. He's sitting straddled sideways through their turn 3 and 4. He's about to get going again. The big black wagon, he's about to get a bit of a dating. Causing a few headaches there, the 34 of Leishout as he comes through, putting a bit of pressure on the 46 of Shane Jones. But our leader, he's going through 3 and 4 the opposite way. The 27 of Paul Leslie. Then we go back to the 433. That'll be Matt Peterson. And then 98, Chris Miles is still hanging in there. Kirk Aldridge in the 54. He's followed in behind him. Then we go back to Steve Peterson, the 428. That'll be Brooke Peterson. Then Jones in the 46, he's a lap down. McNally in the 61. Adrian Fitzgerald is thereabouts in the big red Holden as they go down the back straight. 77, Corey Schumacher's in there as well. 11C, Hamish McGregor's in that group as they come through their 3 and 4. But our leader, he's coming under a bit of pressure now from Matt Peterson in the 433, a bit of lap traffic. 15 and 24, Ben Turner and Chris Eggleton just causing a couple of problems there. Our leader, Paul Leslie, as they go through. Matt Peterson in the 433s, right behind him. He's about a car length behind as they go down the back straight. Let's see what happens as they go into their 3. Leslie drifts it a wee bit wide. Another back marker there, the 72, Luke Foster. They go into turn 1 and 2. Peterson still putting the pressure on Leslie. The 7 car Redmond's around again as they go down the back straight. Here's Matt Peterson now. He goes up high. He gives him a bit of bumper in the rear end. Just pushes him off song a wee bit. Has he done enough? No. Leslie comes out of the corner, still in the lead at this stage in the 27 car. White flag. Can Peterson do it this lap round? The race at this stage is definitely for first and second. The rest are quite spread out. Down the back straight for the last time. Leslie shooting up the inside of the 62 of Dave McSherry. Here comes Matt Peterson. The lap traffic. Redmond's there with a wobbly wheel. He half spins, puts a bit of tap on him, but Leslie in the Transform paint panel takes out the first of the street stock race, followed in by Matt Peterson in the 433. Our third place getter would be the 28 of Steve Peterson. Chris Miles, has he hung on in there for the fourth? And then we go back to Brooke Peterson. Peterson's controlling the top half dozen spots there, Jared.
They certainly are, but I guess when you start looking through the field, you see a whole lot of names you recognise, but they're all on borrowed cars, because at this stage of the season, because it's so early to having a South Island title next week, a lot of these guys, their cars will be ready next week, and so that they've been interchanging. A few of those guys, you can see Dan McNally really struggled on the start there. He obviously missed a gear change and just ended up being walloped. He had the hemorrhoids knocked clean off him.
Right. So let's have a look at the field and see what we've got out there. Out the front of the field at the moment, coming down the front straight past the start-finish line, the 11 car of Jason Phillips and the 7D from Dunedin, Paul Simon. 35N is Mark Carey from Nelson, and tucked in just behind him the 58C car of Richie Taylor, back in blue this season. If you're watching our stream from other parts of New Zealand, you saw him in the orange car last season, back in his traditional blue livery tonight.
He wasn't a fan of the orange, was he?
No, it didn't work well for him. 34T, there is Crazy Ray Stewart, and 76 Paul Berg tucked in behind him as well. He's been going really well here at Woodford Glen so far this season. One to keep an eye on there, that 76 car. Tucked in behind him, the 6, the Mag and Turbo car of Kane Lawson. That's the brand new Hypermac machine this season that's been setting the track alight here at Ampro Tools Woodford Glen. An amazing car. Kane still getting to grips with it, but of course Mag and Turbo sponsoring the big Super Saloon series that runs here in the South Island, and you'll see more of that car and more of the Mag and Turbo name tomorrow night. Tucked in further back there, we've got the 47 car of Lloyd Phillips, and on the outside the 11 of Peter Dixon. I think that car again is probably a brand new Hypermac chassis as well.
It is. It does look a bit like a shoebox of wheels, but it is a big brand new nasty Hypermac.
And right at the back of the field, although he's not usually there, the 861 of Ricky Bolton and the 811 of Roger Nees, that rebuilt car, just looking fabulous and brand new again. Let's hope he keeps it on all four wheels for this race. So going down past the Value Cars Warehouse Grandstand now, the green is in Brian's hand. 12 laps of Super Saloon mayhem about to explode at Ampro Tools Woodford Glen. We're racing, and there goes Paul Simon on the outside, getting the jump on Jason Phillips, and the 58 of Richie Taylor running with him as well. At the moment it's Simon. They've got about a car length over Richie Taylor, who really puts the foot down past the Value Cars Grandstand and takes over a solid second place there. Further in the back in the pack, we're bunched up through turn 4, a little bit of argy-bargy between Kane Lawson and Paul Simon there, but it sorts itself out. And at the back of the field at the moment, the 811 car still finding its feet after that rebuild. So coming into Enviroways turn at the front of the field now, a battle for the lead. Richie Taylor on the inside, Paul Simon on the outside. What an amazing battle this is, because at the inside pass goes to Richie Taylor and he's got the first place. And right on the back of Paul Simon is the 19 car of Malcolm Nart. I somehow must have missed that one through the description in the middle. That's one of those Gorge chassis, just a very similar chassis to the 58 of Richie Taylor. So Murray Gorge's cars first and third at the moment. Peter Dixon having a bit of a battle there with the 76 of Paul Berg in the middle of the pack. Further behind them, the 35 of Mark Carey, and two side by side there, the 47 of Lloyd Phillips and the 34 of Ray Stewart. The back of the pack at the moment, the 6 and the 861 dicing it out, and at the very tail end just for now, the 811 of Roger Nees. So that's 4 laps completed, about to be 5, as Richie Taylor ticks off another one and takes the 58 car through turns 1 and 2. He's got a good line, a good handle on this track, and he's slowly building a lead over the 7 car from Dunedin of Paul Simon. Simon trying to fend off the 19 of Malcolm Nartai. Nartai looking particularly racy. He's not racing his super stock tonight, so most nights here at Ampro Tools Woodford Glen he does double duties in the Super Saloon and the Super Stock, but tonight he can just focus on the Super Saloon. He got it a bit wrong there in turn 2, a little bit sideways, but he's still holding on to 3rd place. Paul Berg's tucked in there in 4th. With the 11 car of Jason Phillips in behind him. Running the outside line to good effect now, the 11E car of Peter Dixon. starting to pick up some speed and some pace. We go back to Mark Carey and the 47 of Phillips racing side by side. Ray Stewart just keeping it off the wall out of turn 2 there. That's allowed the 6 of Lawson to come through on Stewart. 861 Ricky Bolton trying to get past these 2 in front of him and just narrowly avoiding rear-ending them. He's really got that 861 car dancing at the moment, and Roger Nee's catching up to Ray Stewart at the back of the pack. Out front, another lap ticked off. That's 9 down now for Richie Taylor in the 58 machine. He's got a good lead over the 7 of Paul Simon, who in turn has a big lead over the 76 of Paul Berg. Malcolm Natai must have had a bit of an incident there, because he's dropping right back through the pack. Not quite sure what's going on. Something mechanical with that car maybe. Maybe it's a tyre going down. But Richie Taylor out front has this race well and truly under control, going past the Value Cars Warehouse grandstand into Enviro Waste. He's about to pick up the white flag for the last lap. He's got a lead of, I don't know, heaps of car lengths over the 7 of Paul Simon, who in turn is heaps plus a few over the 76 of Paul Berg. 4th place there, Lloyd Phillips has come through well in a good battle between Kane Lawson and Jason Phillips for 5th place. But there's your checkered flag, folks. The 58 Suck It Up Limited car, the Gorge of Richie Taylor, takes the first heat for the Canterbury Super Saloon Championship.
Yeah, great run there by Richie. Paul Simon coming through in second there, and actually Richie's old chassis, believe it or not. And Malcolm Natai, he was having a great run for about 2/3 of that race, and you can hear the cars drop down to about 6 cylinders, so something mechanical with the 19 car. Not taken away from the likes of Paul Berg, Lloyd Phillips and Kane Lawson though. They all on cracking form. Everyone in that race there in the low to mid 17 second per lap. And Richie Taylor though making it look easy right from the start.
If you're wondering, our lap record here at Woodford Glen's is 16.01 by Ryan Marsden, set just a few meetings ago at the beginning of this season. So they're a little bit off record pace at the moment, but nonetheless, 17 second laps are pretty good round here at Woodford Glen.
Kane Lawson's massively on fire at the moment. Whole underbelly of the 6C car is on fire. Of course, these drivers will know, apart from the stink smell, but Kane will be barreling to get out of that car. They're going to put the extinguishers on it. They'll get it out. Whole lot of fiberglass has gone, so something's gone underneath the car, and it has just made it a whole lot worse. And I tell you, she's going to be hard to see that number throughout the night, Tony.
Yes, that's going to need a new paint job there.
I'd say
the 6 car.
We'll smell it before we see it. Of course, the Mag & Turbo car there, and something was around that middle part of the car underneath has caught fire to the panel work.
So, of course, the Mag & Turbo sponsoring that car, as well as Riverlands Holiday Park. Car owned, I think, by Dennis Bolt and campaigned by Kane Lawson, who's done a lot of laps around this track over the last 6 or 7 years, hasn't he, in a Super Saloon?
Kane started out in the driving one of the LRC cars, and he's ended up racing with Dennis Bolt Racing for the last few seasons. And they make an interesting pairing as we just have a look at the Burger King replay. And if you're watching the likes of Pete Dixon in that race, as he was going through the corners, particularly 1 and 2, that left rear wheel head, this is how you don't get, or how you avoid pole line infringements. You keep the wheel in the air so it doesn't even get anywhere near the ground. As you see the 11 car there go through, they're still just tending to the Mag & Turbo car in the pits as our mini stocks grid up. Now this is actually our adult mini stocks, and they've taken Kane Lawson's car to the pits, and if you believe the graphics, Mag & Turbo is still nice and tidy, but they've got smoked fish on the back of the car. You're right there, Tony.
I like a bit of smoked fish.
Smoked fish?
Like kippers.
Oh, are you a bit English?
Yeah, a bit English, a bit Scottish. Yeah, I like kippers. Smoked kippers for breakfast.
I wouldn't have picked Trinidad as an English, but anyway.
Anyway.
We digress. We are way off track as our mini stocks are gridded up. And Shy Rob leads us away in the 181. You feel the mighty power of our adult mini stocks as they head down into turn 1 for the first time.
Brum, brum, brum.
Oh, and I'm the one that took the medication before the meeting too. As the 88 car up the inside of the 34 of West, ins in the 94 there, joins in. A little bit of a love tap on the back of the 88 of McMillan. But it is Shy Rob and what is an immaculately presented mini stock there, the 181 machine. And a graduate of the youth program. It is back to the 88, followed by the 34 of West. Ins, and the 17 of Bright is looking to make moves on the 72 of Jamie Booth. And the two Brownlees cars there coming together mid-pack. And we've got all sorts of leaning on each other there between the 34 and 88, but we finally get through.
The Lewis Hamilton of Woodford Glen mini stocks isn't racing tonight, is he?
No, he's not. No.
I'm talking about the 4 car, Braden Lennon.
Yeah.
He seems to be able to win everything going.
Unless there's a woman on the race who takes him out, but that happens on a regular basis. Anyway,
does he get taken out by women, does he?
We go back to Shy Rob leading this race ahead of Caleb West. West there using all of the track, McMillan right behind, then Bright. Back to Inns as Paul Archibald starting to make a move, but Jamie Booth just leant on the 23 car, pushed him wide. And West right on the back and gets a bit of Morse code there from the 88 car going into Enviro Waste.
It's a non-contact grade, guys.
Non-intentional.
Oh, sorry, not a...
It's not intentional. They make them look like stock cars and then they're not meant to hit. It's a mindset. It is still Shy Rob. Back to Caleb West in the Onyx home car. And the 17 of Bright's got through into third. I'm glad we're not paid for this commentary, Tony, because, boy, we have to apologise to a lot of people.
Yeah, we would, eh?
Anyway, Rob leads away, still with West on her heels. McMillan's fallen back. Paul Archibald on the 23's come through into fifth. He's looking to run that midline on the track. Everybody else seems to be content just sitting on that pole line. West stuck to the inside of Shy Rob. He's coming up the inside in the 34 car. Last on the brakes was Rob. She managed to run to the corner there, but she's gone out a little wide. West is working that pole line. And Rob just gets the bit of drive out of 4 and drop back across his bow as they went into turn 1. A little bit of a nudge through the corner. West up the inside here, but Rob will be the last under brakes, or will she? No, West, I'd say there's a wee bit of infield there, but he takes over the lead, and Bright bumps the 181 out of the way. The white flag is out. Paul Archibald's there. So Paul Archibald's looking to make the run up the inside. For a grade that's not intentional contact.
Yeah, there's a fair bit of leaning and rubbing racing there, isn't there? Anyway, they're going down the back straight now, separated by, a coat of paint or two.
Each other's paint, because they've shared a fair bit of it. As we head through Enviro Race the final time, the checkered flag is out for Caleb West, back to Scott Bright, and Paul Archibald rounds out the top 3. I'd say, looking as we round everybody out, we're all within half a track of each other, so keeping reasonably consistent times there, Tony.
Yeah, they were. With West had a fastest lap of 22.25, which was the same as Paul Archibald in the 23 car as well. Bright was 22.38 and Shy Rob 22.78. I think Shy Rob could feel a little bit robbed there in that race. Pushed off line and bunted out of the way rather more than cleanly passed, you might say. But anyway, we're not the referees, we're just the silly folks up in the commentary box. So
yeah, the thing is, they give us a microphone and then we get the choice of whether we express our opinions, and at times I think we're getting old and grumpy, Tony.
Well, there's a difference between opinions and informed opinions, isn't there? And we just don't have the informed part.
Just looking at the 34 car of Caleb West as he comes around to get his checkered flag, he actually looks like he's collapsed that right front corner. The strut tower looks like
Wonder how that happened.
Yeah. Welcome.
So meanwhile, we have production saloons out on the track. We should talk about them because they are racing for their Canterbury Production Saloon Championship tonight, brought to us by Burger King. Big thank you to Burger King for supporting Woodford Glen, and they do a great job for Speedway all around New Zealand. So if you're feeling a bit hungry after the Speedway, pop into your local Burger King on the way home. This race, Production Saloons, brought to us by Really Swift Parts, event 6 on the program. Let's run through the cars that we've got out there. Off the front of the grid at the moment, we've got the 5 car of Andy Bennett and the 17 car from Nelson, that's Zoe Connolly. Further behind there, we've got the 91, the BMW of Alan Bailey, and on the outside, I can't quite see, it's the 13 car of, no, it's not 13, is it? Doesn't matter. Whatever it is. It's the 8 car, which of course is Corey McQuillan. So we're green and we're racing, and Andy Bennett on the inside and Corey McQuillan in that 8 car I couldn't identify before, having a good battle for the lead. Everyone else bunching up behind them a little bit. Alan Bailey's just holding on to 3rd place, but there's another BMW on the outside there, and cars going in very hot into turn 3. Phileas just managed to pull it up off the brakes, and the little blue car in the middle, that's the 3NZ of Matt Sherlock. My word, he was bouncing around in the middle of that pack. But they all seem to have settled down, and they've all got through the first lap unscathed, well, relatively so. Out front, Andy Bennett in that 5C car is leading the race. Big gaggle of cars fighting for the 2nd, 3rd and umpteenth place behind him. 3 wide coming out of turn 4. You don't often see that in any grade. and McQuillan seems to have it at the moment. Alan Bailey on the inside. We go back to Phileas in that 68 car. The two BMWs tucked in behind him, that's Aaron and Greg Prattley, and Matt Sherlock running the outside line. How he kept that car off the wall down the back straight, I do not know, but it seems to be okay. Hasn't really gained him huge number of places. He's still in 4th place, and he's still got two BMWs right up his tail, which is always a good thing, of course. We've got one sideways there, that's McQuillan in the 8 car. He's had to take refuge on the infield, spitting the dust, and he taps Bailey as he comes back on the track there. A little bit naughty that, but never mind, couldn't really help it. Out front, Andy Bennett under a bit of an attack from the 68 of David Phileas. Of course, that 68 car used to be driven by Jerry Phileas, the father, and now driven by the son. And it's running the outside line to perfection. Andy Bennett getting a bit wobbly out of turn 2, and Phileas takes the front place off him. He runs deep into 3 and 4, but manages to use the front wheel drive to drag that car around, and the 68 car takes the lead. We go back to the 2nd place of the 5 car, Andy Bennett. 3rd place at the moment, the 34, that's Aaron Prattley in the BMW, and the 3NZ on his tail of Matt Sherlock. Tucked in behind him is Greg Prattley. Then we go back to the defending champion, the 78 of Stephen Palmer. And on the outside of him, the 8 car, or the 9 car, I beg your pardon, of Brad Johnson. 8 is tucked in there behind them, that's McQuillan. And then we've got the Nelson car of Cam Lancashire and Zoe Connolly near the back of the field. Alan Bailey there as well, and the right at the back, I think the 43 of Steph Cornish. Oh no, we've got 2 more tucked in behind them. That's where Zoe Connolly is, and the 6 car right at the back of Gary Cox. So 7 laps completed, and the 68 car, the lead of about 3 car lengths. The battle on for 2nd place as Aaron Prattley, I beg your pardon, up the inside of Andy Bennett. Takes a little bit of infield with him as well though, has to back out. Front bumper on that BMW looking a little askew. Matt Sherlock running the outside line, keeping an eye on these two, trying to see if either of them goes offline and he could snaffle 3rd place off them. But he's under a bit of pressure from Greg Prattley, who's tucked in right behind him as well. Stephen Palmer seems to be moving pretty quickly up the field, and he's joined this bunch at the front. But with the white flag coming out now, there's just 1 lap to go. And will David Phileas be able to hang on to the slenderest of leads as Aaron Prattley has taken over 2nd place from Andy Bennett and is pressuring Phileas. They come through Enviroways turn for the last time, and Phileas on the outside, Prattley on the inside. Phileas just takes it by, let's have a look, 0.1 of a second, and we go back to Andy Bennett in 3rd place, Matt Sherlock in 4th, then Greg Prattley, Stephen Palmer, Cam Lancashire in the 11N car came through for a solid 7th place, McQuillan 8th, Steph Cornish in 9th, and Alan Bailey rounded out the top 10.
Yeah, the fastest car on the track there was Aaron Prattley at a 20.87, which is a pretty good time for production around here.
Yeah, but it's a BMW, so it's bound to be.
Yeah. To be fair though, when you look at a few of these productions, you can go, hang on a second, my back bumper's hanging off. But when your front bumper's hanging off, you've got to wonder if we're racing for the ranch a bit early tonight.
No, well, there's a Canterbury Championship, and there is Burger King on the line here. So, it's amazing what will motivate people, eh?
Yes, as the ABC driving school car, the Dr. Bugs Popcorn 8668C of David Phileas. Of course, David tried his exploits in the Commodore, but gone back to the more familiar front-wheel drive Prelude.
So we're back with our street stocks now here at Ampro Tools Woodford, Glen, and these guys are racing for, sponsored in this race by Graham Williamson X Factor Cars, and they're just racing for the fun of it tonight. Most of the other grades racing for some kind of championship or other, but these guys are just doing it for laughs.
Well, to be fair, a lot of them are doing it for qualifying for that South Island title next week in Nelson. Now we know that's going to be a big meeting up there, and of course if you're at the other end of the island, it'll be the final end of the Speedway in Cromwell. As we're in the starters' hands, the front row of the grid is looking pretty green with the 11 and the 73 leading us away. It is all on as we head down into Enviroways for the first time. Steve Peterson in the Mag and Turbo car ducking down low. The 11 car of Hamish McGregor got it a little bit loose. But Dave McSherry in the 62, he's got the Sora screaming down into, and he just clips. He puts himself around.
He's going to big congestion.
Oh, that's a moment you'll live to regret. And I'd say he's copped a bit of steering damage on the 62 car. They all piled on in. But McGregor in the 11 car, the Shane Anderson machine, he is screaming away. And the the Van Lyshout's facing the wrong way down there, and that is Rob McSherry's car.
Thread the needle.
And Dave McSherry looks like he's got suspension damage. He'll be trying to fight.
3 wide's not looking good. Oh.
Matt Peterson fed in their reverse flick by the 72 and 73, so that'll be interesting.
We've gone red for that reason.
Yeah, McSherry's car, I'd say he's got steering issues on that machine.
Yeah.
But Van Lyshout just in a horrible spot. I mean, it's one thing backing yourself into the wall, but another thing facing everybody that's coming onto you.
Oh, exactly. And, you know, like Peterson got spun in towards the wall there. The 3 into 1 just doesn't work, and it unfortunately he got turned around. The other 2 got through.
Yeah, it was starting to get a little bit ugly. Now, Dave McSherry just in an unfortunate spot there. But it goes to show you that these cars aren't all the same. Now, Dave in his Falcon, the EL Falcon, absolute rocket ship, Formula 1 NZ.
Yep.
Cars are a rocket ship on rails around here, and he's gone to the big power of the Toyota. It's a VVT Toyota in that thing, and it is, you know, equivalent to a super stock in principle.
Yep.
And it's a little bit of a handful.
Yeah, well, it's taken guys a few years to get that sorted, and Paul Simon, he was the innovator of the Toyota Sauras, wasn't he? Former New Zealand champion in it. Went like a robber's dog. There's plenty of potential in them. And once Dave irons the problems out, he will get the same results. But, you know, second meeting in, I think, with this car.
It is.
So.
And I believe that Paul Simon has given him a bit of advice with it too.
Yep.
I mean, Paul obviously now racing Super Saloons. We saw him out earlier this evening in the 7D car. But it is a little bit of a handful. You go, when I was looking at the car the other day in Dave's workshop, and it's a big, heavy engine at the front of that car. It's not as balanced as the Falcons are. The Falcon, you've got that big, long, narrow engine that sits back in the car, and this is all power and hold on and pray.
Oh, it'll be definitely a totally different thing to drive compared to the Falcon. As you say, the balance is totally different. Those motors in these Sauras are squat and short, but they're wide.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be doing too much work on it, to be honest. I wouldn't want to. I don't do too much work on my own.
Thanks, Tony.
Did I just describe Ivan? Did I?
Oops, stop it.
I can't help it. The mouth just gives.
As the reds go out, we're away racing. Green is on again. Lyshout gets himself around. Where's our leader? He's coming out turn 4, the 11 car. Steve Peterson in the Mag & Turbo sponsored 28. Hold on his heels as they go into their 3 and 4 because they go in the opposite direction again. The 11 of McGregor having a blinder of a race at this stage. Then we go back to the 28. Steve Peterson. The rest of the field's coming around. There's a bit of a log jam as they come out past the pit gate. Matt Peterson's on the outside of the 72, which is Luke Foster. 24. That'll be the car of Chris Eagleton. He's there or thereabouts. Here comes McNally in the 61 car as he shoots up to inside the 72. He's going out around the high line of the 24. Let's see if he's got enough momentum to carry him through. 24 washes out wide and slows up as Lyshout's bouncing through. A few ruts starting to come up and down. 28 just gets half spun round. He's gone right round. So the 11's now got it all out on his own. 15's lap down. Here comes Matt Peterson in the 433, up the inside of Dad Steve Peterson in the 28. 15's just up high by the wall, just a back marker. McNally's coming through in the 61, that's Dan McNally. As they go past us for another time, our leader, he's got over half a lap on the rest of the field. 72 has a left rear flat, he's just cruising the pole line. But our leader's coming past us again. Hamish McGregor in the 11. Another lap winds off, then we wait for a bit. Peterson, father and son. 28, Steve Peterson in the 2nd spot. Then we go back to Matt. Dan McNally, he's up there into the 4th spot. Then Paul Leslie, just shooting up the inside of the 24. Lyshout, I'd say he's got a wheel problem there on the right rear. Yep.
Lack thereof.
Lack thereof, yeah. He's pulling to the infield. 46, Shane Jones, he's in it there or thereabouts as well. Then we go back to Brooke Peterson, the 428. But the leader at this stage, the 11 of Hamish McGregor, he's got it all out on his own. He's catching up to the 73 of Jamie McGregor. He's just going through at this stage. 73 spins himself with his left rear flat, no tyre on there at all. 11C, he's gone through for another lap. Peterson still scrapping it out, father and son. Son shoots up the inside of the old man. Then they go down the back straight. Matt Peterson in the 4.33. The race is for second, third and fourth. At this stage, Matt Peterson's got the second. Here comes Dan McNally, about to shoot up the inside of the 28 car. White flag for our 11, our race leader, as they go down the front straight for the last time. We've got McGregor in the 11, 4.33 Peterson, 28 Steve Peterson, 61 Dan McNally shooting up the inside as they go down the back straight. Dan McNally's got this. Here comes Matt Peterson up the inside of the 11. He's buttoned off. They get pushed out wide. Peterson spins himself round Matt Peterson. So the winner is going to be the 11 over 61. McNally, then back to Steve Peterson.
Absolute beautiful drive there by McGregor in the 11C car. Must be the number. Followed by Steve Peterson. Well, it says Steve Peterson, but we saw McNally go through on that one. He's dialed himself into that loaner car and he is flying.
They recognise the value, you see, of having their brand associated with pretty cool racing like this. So out on the track at the moment, this is the Group 1 versus Group 3. Some of these cars you saw earlier in the night, like the 811 of Rogenese and the 95 car there of Owen Dixon. On the second row of the grid, we've got the 492 Campbell McManaway, races up and down the country. It's got a T on the side of the car this year. If you're from the North Island, you're watching the stream, you're wondering what's this T thing. Well, that's Cromwell. Makes sense, doesn't it? It's got a T in it, so that's why they put a T for as the letter abbreviation for Cromwell. They're a bit weird like that down there.
Campbell makes the point, even though he's got business interests in both Nelson and Picton and Invercargill, the reason he's got the T on it is actually a tribute to the late Darryl Ainsley.
Darryl Ainsley, and of course, who was a stalwart of the Cromwell Club, helped get that track started and supported it through his racing career. 47 there is, of course, Lloyd Phillips. We saw him earlier on as well. The 21 car, the orange car of Ian Burson, and outside him the 34 of Ray Stewart. We go back to the 17 car of Ryan Marsden. That's the brand new Lovelady chassis, and the 23 of Trevor Elliott. 35 Mark Carey, and at the back of the field the 11 of Jason Phillips. So the green's ready, we're ready, let's go racing. And 811 Rogenese squirts it off the front of the grid there and goes into turn 1 first with a battle behind him. The outside there, the 47 of Paul Simon, who gets turned half turn coming out of 2, manages to correct himself on the front of Campbell McManaway's car and goes slamming into the back of the second place car, causing a huge pile up out of turn 4. We've got several cars on the infield, and Mark Carey turned half spun on the track. And boy oh boy, that was not a good first lap, particularly for Paul Simon. And it all started out of turn 2. Simon got out of shape. Not sure if he got a bit of a tap or not, but everything else followed on from that. You can see Mark Carey's car definitely looking a little bit worse for wear, and little piece has just fallen off it on the front straight just by the pit gate. So we've gone yellow. There's the, if you're looking at the stream, you can see a good close-up of the front of piece of Carey's car, and someone's going to pick that up very shortly. We'll get that track cleared out. Meanwhile, the rest of the commentary team are hoeing into the Burger King that's been delivered to keep them going, and I've just got to sit here smelling it whilst I call this race. So there's on the Burger King replay, of course, there's the incident out of turn 2. You can see Simon gets sideways, goes into the side of the 47 car, and the 47 car comes in very hot into turn 4 there, and Carey, in fact, at the end, just spinning out of to avoid what was going on in front of him. I don't actually think he got a tap. I think he just got spun. He just spun himself up there. So the 47 car of Lloyd Phillips, definitely involved in the action there. That car of his, a Lovelady chassis, of course, with a Ford, sponsored by Cleanways, Cleanways Hire, iBattery, Supreme Excavation, Enviro South, and iSigns. So they're going to reform, and we're going to have a full restart. So 85, Owen Dixon, and 811 off the front. There's another look on that Burger King replay. If you're watching the stream at home, you can see how the whole thing unfolded. The 47 car there has been put to the back of the field, so obviously deemed the cause of that incident. So we're green. and we're about to go green. Green's in the hand of the starter anyway, and it's waving now as we go racing. 811 Roger Nees and the 95 of Owen Dixon both get a great start, but Roger Nees just pokes his nose in front as they go through 1 and 2. Dixon's got the 21 of Ian Burson right up behind him, who's running the inside line with McManaway on the outside. Back in 5th place there, the 34 of Ray Stewart. He gets a little taily coming out of turn 4, loses a bit of momentum, and that causes the 17D of Ryan Marsden to get stuck up behind him there. Sorry, 17D of Craig Phillips. 27, Trevor Elliott's in the mix as well. 35, Mark Carey. And at the back of the field there, we've got Jason Phillips racing with the 47 car of Lloyd Phillips. Don't think they're related. And we've got cars around in turn 2. Everyone struggling to avoid further contact. The 95 car of Dixon went to the infield. The 34 car of Ray Stewart is beached across the pole line. We've got yellow. I just have a feeling this is going to be one of those races. And the longer this race goes on, the longer I have to wait for my Burger King. So there we go. The trials and tribulations of being a commentator at Ampro Tools Woodford Glen on Burger King sponsored night. Never mind. Plenty of dust being kicked up by the cars as they kick across the infield there. You might notice here at Woodford Glen we water the track, but we don't water the infield. That way we can get a little bit of a sense sometimes when the cars are putting a wheel or two over the pole line, because the dust gets kicked up off the pole line or off the track just inside it. So at the moment on the track we're looking at the 21 car of Ian Burson leading the 811 of Roger Nees. Third place there, the 492 of Campbell McManaway. And we go back to the 34 car of Ray Stewart. Then we've got Phillips in the 17D car. I mistakenly called that as a different car, 17C earlier on, so I apologise for that. That's 17D. And then we go back through the field from there. I've got a little note here. What's this one, Ivan? You've handed me a Mini. If you own a Mini, congratulations, because they're a wonderful car. And your registration is ZZ4783, ZZ4783. It's a Mini and you've left your lights on. Oh dear, poor little Mini. You want to go and sort that out. Please sort that out so we don't have to bring the SPCA in. Right, 21, Ian Burson leading them round. We're going to go racing this time, do you think? Oh no, you've got your mouth full, don't worry about it.
No, I think we're going to go racing, don't worry. 21,
Ian Burson. 811, right on his tail, Roger Nees. Who's going to have the twitchy trigger foot? Here it goes. It's usually Ian Burson who just pulls away. God, that car sounds awesome. That Tate's car, an in-house sponsored machine. Just, I don't know, something about the exhaust on that car just sounds bloody brilliant. So he's pulling away down the back straight past the Value Cars Warehouse grandstand with the 811 of Roger Nees holding on to a solid second place at this point in time. Round the outside comes the 95 of Owen Dixon and the 492 of Campbell McManaway. We go back to 34, Ray Stewart, who's running the cush there between 1 and 2, squirting the dirt. Tucked in behind him, the 17 of Phillips and the 27 of Trevor Elliott. We go back to Jason Phillips in the 11 car at the back of the field at the moment, the 35 of Mark Carey and the 47 car there of Lloyd Phillips. Now something came off a car as they were going through 3 and 4. It's sitting on the track in turn 4. It could be just a wheel centre, I think. Yep, centre off one of the wheels. They'll probably leave that there. It's right out by the wall. Don't think it's going to be a danger to anyone. So Ian Burson absolutely giving that car beans now through 1 and 2. He's just reeled off a 17.6 second lap, which is pretty quick, quicker than the first heat was going here at Woodford Glen. And he's got that car super dialed in now. He's got a groove running the outside line, down the front straight, keeping it deep into 1 and 2. He's got the rear wheels in the loose material, the front wheels on the flatter part of the track. He takes it out wide by the wall down the back straight, then he cuts back in, goes deep into 3 and 4. You see the back of that car flick out as he does a lap. It's poetry in motion. That's Ian Burson doing what he does best, lifting the front wheel and making that car absolutely hum. He's already got about 15 car lengths over the 811 of Roger Nees, who's battling to hold off the 492 of Campbell McManaway, who must have had a good diet of Kinner this morning because he's really got his foot up that 492 machine at the moment. Further back, Owen Dixon holding on to a solid 4th place. He's got a bit of pressure behind him from the 34T of Ray Stewart and the 27 of Trevor Elliott, but we've gone yellow for reasons currently unknown.
I think it's just to give the other cars a fighting chance against Ian Burson.
Yeah, possibly we've got a real Ian Burson back in.
A couple of hairy moments through that race. They're just watching it also, watching it on the screen here. A couple of the cars, and I think it was Lloyd Phillips, facing the wall coming down the front straight. He got way out of shape.
Yeah.
Somehow managed to drag it back in. So a few of these guys had a good first run, second run on the tracks, getting a little bit of a handful for these cars.
So a few pieces being picked up off the track there. If you're watching the stream from Ampro Tools Woodford Glen, you'd have seen that. So we've had 7 laps completed of this 12-lap race. Ian Burson is out front. He had a lead of 2.66 seconds when the yellows went on, but that lead will evaporate and he will go back into Indian file now with the 811. I thought these guys were going to do side-by-side restarts. Weren't we told that originally? But
they have at other tracks.
Oh, that's tomorrow night.
Tomorrow.
Okay, so tomorrow night they'll be doing side-by-side restarts just to increase the fiberglass repair potential even more. Here we go. We're racing again. Green, and Ian Burson does what he did before, pulls away from the 811 of Roger Nees. Nees has got the 492 of Campbell McManaway on the outside. We go back to Dixon in the 95 car. Ray Stewart in the 34 with Trevor Elliott on the tail there. Jason Phillips in the 11 car dropping back, allowing the 17 to come up the inside of him. The 47 and 35 racing hard at the back of the field, and 47 spins himself around, manages to take it to the infield. He'll rejoin. Back out front, 21, Ian Burson. That car is bright orange, you can't miss it, and you can't miss the fact that he's leading this race by quite a margin. He guns it through 3 and 4, and he's just squirting the dirt and making each lap count. Roger Nees working hard on the inside line there. 492 Campbell McManaway trying to follow the line of Burson. Don't think he's got quite the same setup as Burson in that car of his. And he's just struggling a little bit to make the pass on 811 stick. He's still in 3rd place at the moment. They're about 4 or 5 car lengths ahead of Owen Dixon in the 95 car, who's holding off the 27 of Trevor Elliott and 34 Ray Stewart, keeping an eye on those two. If either of them messes up, he'll snaffle that 5th place in an instant. 17 car there is Craig Phillips is dropping further back with Carey behind him. So we're in the white zone now as Ian Burson guns it through 1 and 2 for the final time, lifting that front wheel again. Even at this late in the race, there's enough grip for him to be able to lift that inside front wheel. He guides it through 3 and 4. He knows the checkered's waiting for him. He just has to bring it home, which he does. There's your race winner, Ian Burson. 811 Roger Nees manages to hold on for a great 2nd place there. He'll be thrilled with that. And 492 Campbell McManaway, after battling all the way, stays in 3rd.
Interesting to watch that field of supers as they finish that race off. Most of them running that race as if it was a 20-lap feature, getting down low. Ian Burson, on the other hand, he's the only driver that really was up Brave, that car up wide, up where the Brave and the Wildmen play. And he was driving it like it was the first race of the night. He was doing the big wheel lifts. He was in that charging for a sprint race mindset. Everybody else had seemed to settle back into a enduro or 20-lap feature type mindset. Roger Nees, the monkey's off the back. He's the car's been put back together. It finished strongly against some very good cars around him. It's in one piece. It's all clean and tidy. Let's go back in the pits and reset the mindset for looking towards that feature race at the end of the night. As the mini stocks are in the chute, and we will be back with you shortly. As we watch the Burger King replay there, Ian Burson absolutely screaming. Campbell McManaway looking for ways around the outside of Roger Nees. And the mini stocks are away and racing. 72 of Booth and the 62 of Porter on that front row. Now they will get a couple of surprises as they come around, particularly down at the Enviro waste end of the track. There's a couple of gnarly little ruts. There's the 88 car there.
Yeah, he found one, I think.
Yeah, but the rut happened to be the front back bumper of another car. as we head down to Enviro Waste. We are getting a little bit pushy-shovey in the middle of there.
Maybe. Dare I say it, they're racing like mini stock should. Whoops.
Stock cars.
I'm going to get an angry referee coming in here very soon.
Oh no, the things we've said over the years, I'm sure that's a very minor infringement on our behalf. But out in front it is the 72 of Booth leading us away. That lap was nearly a 30-second lap, actually, to be fair. Inns in the 93 car got out wide into Porter and just bounced around through Enviro Waste. Booth across through. Now, albeit had a little excursion that first lap. Shy Rob and the 181 cars come through into second spot. And looking at Paul Archibald, he's looking at making some moves on the 94 caravans. So a fair bit of family racing in here. You'll recognise surnames. As Booth across the start-finish line, he is being tracked down by the 181 and the 23. And the 88 car there's just dropped back with Bright right on his heels. And something's gone wrong with that 94 car. He's just set up high on the track and just rolled back out of the throttle. The 44 car there also of Sutton dropped right back. The battle is on in the lead here between the 72 and 181. Booth tries to go defensive, tries to keep Shy Rob out wide. She backs out of it. You can see as they come off too, just the car's getting a little unsettled with the ruts. The 23 car of Paul Archibald looks to make the move on Shy Rob. Shy's washed up a little bit high here, and the 23, the Brownlees contracting cars up the inside as they go down into one. So the battle's on for second, but Archibald backs out of it again. So to be fair to Paul Archibald, he is giving Shy Rob all the race space he can. He's put the nose in a couple of times and backed it back out.
Two more cars joining this battle now. It's a five-way battle.
But then the 93 cars facing the wall down here on the front straight. But they keep on racing. Everybody knows they're there. And no doubt.
And he backs out and tries to back out, but I would say there's a steering issue with that car.
Well, at least up by the wall there, he's not on the race line as such. Paul Archibald stuck to the outside through Enviro Race on Booth. Oh, a little bit of a bumper there. Shy Rob's going to benefit out of this, and the 93 car is going to be sucking onto that seat without his hands. It will be the white flag for Shy Rob. Paul Archibald's on the outside. He has given her a lot of space. He stuck the nose in a few times and pulled it back out. So it is a genuine drag race here between the 181 and the 23. As we head through Enviro, whoa, Archibald picks the rut, bounces him out wide. It's handed it to Shy Rob. The 88 car looks to make the move, but it will be the 23 of Archibald for second, 88 for third, and Booth and Bright rounding out the top five.
So some great racing there from Shy Rob, Paul Archibald, and also at times Jeremy Booth as well on the 72 car. Quickest lap was a 22.51 by Lindsay McMillan in the 88 car. Which is a pretty good clip for a mini stock round Ampro Tools Woodford Glen. So that race was brought to us by Challenge Wymack. Big thank you to them. Next up we've got the second heat of the Canterbury Production Saloon Championship, which will be brought to us by Christchurch Glass, and we'll be back with those guys very, very shortly.
Production Saloons heading around Tony, and all I can testify, as if I was well, I better not get too sacrilege here. The Burger King Summer Range.
Yes.
I don't think
it's good.
It's very good.
It's very good, isn't it? It is very good.
Very good. I'm glad I'm not going over the scales tonight, though.
Indeed. So out front, 68. Let's change the subject. David Phileas is off the front row, racing with the 3NZ of Matt Sherlock. On the second row of the grid there, we've got the 33. I'll get these mixed up. Which is, of course, Greg Prattley in the white BMW. But we're green and racing. This is the second heat for the Canterbury Production Saloon title. Remember, Stephen Palmer in the 78 car is the defending champion. He's mid-pack at the moment. Couple of cars wash out wide towards the wall, and the 8 of McQuillan spins round there, delaying the last couple of cars in the pack, but I think he's going to get it going again.
If he stays there, he gets the restart, though. I know he gets going.
He gets going, so he's rejoining about a lap down. All that was happening, the 3NZ of Matt Sherlock has managed to take a lead of about 5 car lengths over Greg Prattley in the 33 BMW. Phileas has dropped back to third place. 78, Stephen Palmer having a good race there with the 9 of Brad Johnson for 4th. We go back to the 6th place of Andy Bennett. Steph Cornish is there. One of those Nelson cars having a bit of a laugh over the bumps in turn 4. That's the 11 car of Cam Lancashire. Tucked in behind him, we've got the 34 of Greg Prattley. We go back to Alan Bailey in the 91, and at the rear of the field there, the 6 car of Gary Cox and the 17 car from Nelson of Zoe Connolly. So another lap ticked off out front for that bright blue and pink machine of Matt Sherlock. You certainly can't miss that. It's bright in a different way to Ian Burston's car, but to a similar effect, and he's got pretty much the length of the Value Cars grandstand over the 2nd place 33 car of Greg Prattley, who's having a great battle on the inside with the outside running 68 of Phileas. Neck and neck between those two for 2nd place, but they're a long way behind Sherlock for 1st. We go back to Stephen Palmer in the 78 car, who's running in a solid 4th place there. Andrew Bennett about 3 car lengths back, and then we go back to Steph Cornish in the 43. So we'll go front side again, another lap ticked off, and that's 5 down for Matt Sherlock. Oh, we've got a spinner in 1 and 2. Sherlock has to duck to the inside to avoid the 6 car of Gary Cox. Cox has gathered it up and he's going again. Got a couple of cars on the infield there, the 9 of Johnson and the 8 of Corey McQuillan. So the field just thinning out a little bit now. And we come through start finish again for Matt Sherlock. He's got a handy lead. He's tucked behind a back mark. He's going to try and get past the 17 of Zoe Connolly. Connolly visiting from Nelson, probably not quite so familiar to this track, although we did see her, I think, at a meeting earlier in the season, and slowly coming to grips with that awkward turn 3 and 4 we have here at Ampro Tools Woodford Glen. She keeps her line nicely on the inside, and Matt Sherlock experienced enough to be able to take the outside line and make the pass. So that's 7 laps completed now for Matt Sherlock. 2nd place car is, there's a battle for 2nd. The 68 of Phileas on the outside, neck and neck with the 33 of Prattley. They're side by side as they go past the Value Cars Warehouse grandstand and into EnviroWaste. How they handle the back marker of Connolly, I think, will determine who gets 2nd. And it looks as though Phileas has managed to get in front of Prattley, and he's taken over 2nd place in the race. The 68 Honda probably just a little bit more comfortable on that higher line than the 33 BMW is. So they're setting off in pursuit of Matt Sherlock, but Sherlock's taking the white flag now, and he's got a big lead over 2nd place Phileas. We go back to Prattley in the 33. The 17 car's almost a lap down. Then we go back to 78 Palmer, 34 Greg Prattley, the 5 of Andy Bennett, Lancashire and Steph Cornish. But coming through EnviroWaste for the final time, and the winner of this race taking the checkered flag, the 3 and Z car of Matt Sherlock.
As we wait for the rest of the race to wind its way out, the bulk of the pack coming across the start-finish line now. Just looking at the ELS and looking at the accumulated points, Sherlock and Phileas tied at 23 points. So whichever driver finishes ahead in the 3rd race will be the new Canterbury champ and get themselves onto the Woodford Glen calendar. But they've got to survive that 3rd race yet. Looking at the times there, most of the pack there cruising in the sort of low to mid 21 second laps. Not setting any records, but they are racing very, very hard. As I look out into the chute at the moment, the AC Delco pace car sitting there waiting to bring out the Mondale group and the Chemwash group. Now what I can tell you, Tony, and you don't have to put your headset on or panic or too much. I'll read it as for it. Mondale provides a total global logistics service throughout an unequaled worldwide network. Our fully integrated software provides full end-to-end supply chain solutions. There we go. So that's what they do. And I guess the moving company and Chemwash it's pretty much in the name. So, and they've had 4 meetings, and I know that a couple of other tracks have lost meetings, which is just a joys of the sport. We don't get to play in the rain like we do in rugby. As we're in the starters' hands, 72 and 433 on the front row. We're away and racing, and the Peterson twins were blasting into 1st and 2nd, does it? Certainly Matt's got through there. Brookie in the 428 looks like she's been put around. Oh, catches the ripple strip, does a big bounce in the air. And the 46 car tonight in the hand of Shane Jones. He's about to send himself off the end at EnviroWaste. Just about anyway. Normally Sean Andrew in the car, but it is Matt Peterson in the pre-cut machine out in front. Back to the transform machine of Paul Leslie. Dan McNally on the back of Levi Van Lyshout. So these two gents borrowing the McSherry brother cars. And Corey Schumacher in the 77 screaming around in the Crusader as they head past the Value Cars warehouse. Whoa, Van Lyshout just crossed up completely in front of McNally. Just did the hard right turn on himself. As Brooke Peterson looking to limp the 428 round with a flat rear tyre. And Van Lyshout must have been just holding his breath there for a second. Shane Jones sparking up down the back straight with the 46 there. And for some reason that 46, he's trying to turn it in at very high speed down to Enviro Waste, and it does not want to turn in at all. He's going to be having to start to flick the car. Out in front though, it is Matt Peterson, back to Paul Leslie, Dan McNally. He has come to grips with the Tom McSherry car. And Van Lyshout's back out there in the 34, getting to grips with it. Brookie there just circulating down low, looking a bit further back through the pack. Not going to see a lot of aggravation amongst these guys tonight. They all want to go to the South Islands with a car in one piece. And it'll be awesome if they can bring that South Island title back to Canterbury. Oh, no, as I say that, the 34 car into the back of the 73. Gives the 73 there of Jamie McGregor a bit of a flick. Our race leader right on the back of Van Lyshout as they head past the Value Cars warehouse grandstand. Van Lyshout gets out wide. Paul Leslie out wide as well. So these drivers have figured out the fastest part of the track is up sort of that mid to high part of the track. And you can see that a few of them, of course, these cars run effectively road-going rims. And so they haven't got a lot of tyre to work with, so they don't want to be getting caught in the ruts. You're going to get a bit of a concertina effect up here down at 1 with the 73 car limping, as is the 428. White flag is out for Matt Peterson. Paul Leslie second on the track. Dan McNally absolutely hauling in the 61 tonight. Threads the needle, the 433 past the Value Cars warehouse grandstand into Enviro Waste. And it is Matt Peterson taking away the third heat for the street stocks.
So well done to Matt Peterson there for the race win at fastest lap of 21.34. And that was the quickest of any of the laps. Dan McNally did a 21.44 though, so he wasn't too far off the pace. And in the end, Peterson 4.7 seconds ahead of Leslie in second place. So you'd consider that a pretty convincing win.
And the street stocks finish all out, and that is their race done.
Absolutely. So we're back out with our Super Saloons now. This is the final heat, if you like, the two groups that haven't versed each other yet. Group 2 versus Group 3. This race brought to us by Brownlee's Construction. Off the front row of the grid there, we got the 27 of Trevor Elliott, the 861 of Ricky Bolton. Peter Dixon's in that 11E car tucked in behind. Ian Burson in the middle of the pack there with Paul Berg. And we're green and racing, coming out of turn 1. Coming into turn 1, I should say, and Peter, the 27 car of Elliott has the lead over, very narrow lead over the 861 of Bolton. Dixon's got some great pace on the inside, tries to put the pass on Bolton, but just pulls out a bit. He breaks later and through Enviro Waste, and he gets his nose ahead, coming out of turn 4, takes over second place. A lot of cars bunched up right behind him. Burson's in the mix there with Richie Taylor. And the 17 of Phillips and the 492 of McManaway. They're all very close together as they go past the Value Cars warehouse grandstand into Enviro Waste turn. They all come through cleanly though. Good racing by these guys. Out front, 2 laps completed for Trevor Elliott in that 27 machine. Elliott scaffolding, and he's really giving it beans at the moment. Here comes Burson now, around the outside. Past the 76 of Paul Berg. He's going to be looking to challenge the 11 car of Dixon very, very shortly. Just drops back a bit off turn 4. Berg and Dixon racing each other, and really Burson nowhere to go at the moment. He's got to wait until those two sort it out in front of him before he finds a line. Berg drifting a little high. I thought Burson was going to go low. He threads the needle through the middle. Contact with Dixon. He pulls out of it. They get away with it. Out front, Elliott's got a lead of about 4 car lengths, and all this is going on behind him. It's back to Berg and Dixon racing side by side for the second place there. Dixon on the outside, Berg on the inside. Dixon's got it now. Will the outside also happened for the 21 of Burson. He's trying hard. He's got his nose alongside Burke. Can't quite make it stick out of 4. You get the feeling he's fastest through 3 and 4. That's where he's going to make the pass happen. He's alongside Berg now out of 2. It's neck and neck for 3rd place. Nothing between them. They're catching Dixon. Dixon, if anything, is just stopping these two racing. They're so fast in 3rd place. Paul Berg having just a blinder of a race, a blinder of a season after many years racing here at Ampro Tools, Woodford, Glen. So out front it's still Elliott in the 27 car, the 11 of Dixon, just holding off the 76 of Berg. Ian Burson just nosing the car back in turn 4 there and losing ground a little bit as he washes out wide. 861 Bolton's holding on to 5th place, and there's a great battle between McManaway and Richie Taylor for 7th. Out front, Elliott still controlling the race, but you get the feeling Berg's catching him slowly. He's still got Elliott on the outside. These two have been side by side for lap after lap after lap. It's 8 completed now of the 12. Burson's keeping a close eye on them. Either of these two step out of line, Burson's going to snaffle that 2nd place. But for now, it's neck and neck for 2nd, and they're slowly closing on Elliott. This is going to be an almighty finish if all these 4 cars come close together in the last lap or 2. Quite a distance back to the 861 of Bolton, who's got Richie Taylor and Campbell McManaway behind him. But keep your eyes out front, folks, because that's where the action is. 27, Trevor Elliott leads them through Enviro Waste. Paul Berg on the inside, Dixon on the outside. It's been like that for every lap of this race. Burson dropping off the back of this pack now. The pace is just a bit too hot for him, and that's saying something. So how many laps we down now? 10 down, just a couple to go. The white flag in Brian's hand. Next time Elliott comes round, he's going to take that white flag, and it's the battle for 2nd that's still on everyone's mind. Dixon gets his nose in front. Will he chop across to the inside? No, he's still running that outside line. Berg's still got some pace coming out of 2, but I think Dixon's got the place now. He saved the best till last. Trevor Elliott's still got the lead. He's going to take the race win unless he makes a catastrophic mistake, but it's going to be Dixon. Berg comes back at him. Dixon on the outside. Dixon takes it. Woo! 27, Trevor Elliott wins by 0.76 of a second over Peter Dixon, who was 0.24 of a second ahead of Paul Berg in 3rd place.
Absolutely awesome race there between Berg and Dixon. And but Trevor Elliott there in complete control of that race, as the shoebox there right on the right beside Paul Berg. Beautiful all the way through. Can't go.
Okay.
I've just put my headset back on there, Tony, which is probably
good for you. Yes.
But do you realise how warm Ivan McPhail's ears are? This thing's roasting.
Well, no, I can honestly say no, I can't. But yeah, that's an interesting observation. You know, he's passionate about his racing, and the blood boils, and he gets excited, and you know,
expresses it through his ears.
Absolutely.
Kinnear, you're a very lucky lady.
She makes a good hot chocolate as well.
Yeah,
I testify to that.
As our youth mini stocks grid up for their final race of the night. Front row of the grid there, it is Ben Hearn and the 89 of Maya Bishop. And it'd be a bit unusual for some of these youth mini stock, because normally they get the first race of the night, and they've had a couple of other races. We've had one rain out where they were going to get a bit more racing. So for some of these competitors, this is genuinely the first time they're going to get to race under lights.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. And for the first time, they're probably going to race on a track quite as rutty as this one too, which will be a test of their car control and judgment.
Yeah, we're leaving the judgment of their driving in the hands of 12 to 16-year-olds.
Oh, that's cool. Some of them are quite mature 12 to 16-year-olds, you know, and you have to be to be a racing car driver. And everyone wants to be a racing car driver. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to offer these kids the opportunity to be an astronaut or a brain surgeon at this point in time, but we can offer them the opportunity to be a racing car driver.
Yeah, the amazing thing is, as you get older, your maturity levels tend to creep in. You actually get worse as you get older.
Yep.
And I think we've got everybody gridded in that was meant to be there. We've got the push cars out of the way, and we're away in racing. So Hearn and Bishop lead us down to turn 1. As the 11 car went out wide, McNally in the 21 car has moved through and oh, got one over, big over. Oh, and collected on the way through. It looks like it's the 53 car of Jordan Craig, I think. And Jordan Anderson, they're nowhere to go. but they're going to go red on that one. That was a just getting caught with the rut, and then the following ensuing pack just to finish along. Check in the window. You still there? You live, bro? Sweet. Okay, that might have paraphrased the conversation somewhat. Oops. We're running into each other up here. We'll think we're mini stocks.
Of course, we have our own dedicated safety crew here at Ampro Tools Woodford Glen. They've had extensive training from fire service and paramedics, and they know all about getting people in and out of race cars. You can see there, it was...
Yeah, and Ingham just catching it on the way through and just about putting themselves over the 55 car, nowhere to go. And saying that, not as much damage as you would have thought. But yeah, the 116 car, very fortunate not to get caught up too much in that. Certainly got to test its suspension travel as it climbed over the front of it as we watch the replay courtesy of Burger King. And they'll just get... To be fair, in an incident like that, it's probably more a bit of a shock and a bit of winding for the competitor than it is actually for anything serious. Our race leaders, though, down at Enviro West, the Kaipo end of the track. And they will be already and ready to go. We still haven't completed our first lap. And just interesting as we look at the monitor here, with the 21 car there of Corey McNally, the symbol on the top of it, which we won't refer to what it actually is, that symbol has now done 3 generations of McNally's on the roof of their various cars.
Right, yes, okay, yep.
So, there's someone from the Pits TV up on the top of the scaffolding, giving us some great shots and some great angles of our racing tonight. And actually, to be fair, Tony, I think I'd rather be where we are. There's a little box around us and a roof, and dare I say, an air conditioner at the back of the room that's probably keeping us a little bit more toasty than the brave race fans that are sitting in the stadium tonight. Albeit that the few spots of rain that we had have blown away, but it is a bit nippy out.
Yes, it's a chilly breeze out there, and once the sun's gone down, it's a bit cool. You need to be rugged up here at Ampro Tools Woodford Glen. If you're coming in January for the Super Stocks, bring your coat, bring your rug with you. But
well, last time we had a Super Stock title here, we had snow.
Well, it was sort of hail,
Snow,
sort of thunderstorm hail. Yes, that's right. We had a thunderstorm about 2 hours before racing was due to start, and amazing effort by Kinder and the rest of the crew to get the pumps going and pump out the infield, and we were racing not long after the scheduled start time, from memory.
I had a new respect for sucker trucks after that meeting when the amount of Malcolm Nato made some phone calls, and we had trucks here draining the pits, and literally there was just inches and inches of hail, and I'll call it snow for the sake of a much better story. But certainly anything can happen, and I guess the guaranteed way of breaking a drought anywhere in New Zealand is put a 2-day Speedway meeting on.
Indeed. Noted.
Yeah,
I'll factor that into my forecasting in the years ahead. So that car there was... Did we work out which car it was? 53?
It is 53.
53, yeah, towed to the infield.
Jordan Craig there just bounced out, and the Ingram car, very fortunate to not actually go over as well as it climbed over the front. But we are away and racing once again. Maya Bishop leads us after 1 lap. Granted, that was nearly a 4-minute lap. As the 85 car of Tom Cooper, the big wing on that, moves through into second, as the 179 of Hearn just slipping back. McNally having a good run here in the 21 car. The 31 is parked down at turn 4, just off the race line. It is, yep. And something's gone wrong in the McNally car. Came off the corner, bounced and stopped, as the 85 of Cooper looking to make a move here on Bishop. Bishop holding the track position, just keeps the 85 car down low on the track. Now, if you want to, fortune does favour the brave. The 23 car there, Berry there, just rolling to the infield. And there is plenty of drive out high and wide if you're prepared to run the risk. As we watch Bishop, Cooper there just bouncing through the ruts, had to get out of it and had to straighten the car up as they head down the back straight. We go back to Hearn, who has got Paratene in the 11 car right there, and Cam Sidaway in the 18. McNally gives Ingram the big hurry up and pushes him out of the way. Interesting option of passing. And the 71 Earthon from Nelson, just leaning on the 116 car going down the front straight.
Or a 116. As you say, sometimes you're the bat and sometimes you're the ball. The 116 is a bit of a ball in this race.
Yeah, definitely. The 116. Oh, whoa, we're bouncing through the ruts as we get up on the back marker. Bishop and Cooper. Oh, it was Bishop's sister. In the 4 car, they came up on the back of her, swerved to avoid her, and both of them ate the rut. Got a fair bit of hang time. McNally going slow, circulating slowly.
4 wide down the front straight there. That's always cool.
And he's ducking to the inside of the 71 car. They're going to rub wheel gates. He's going to push him out wide. I think we're racing stock cars. Or are we? Ingram goes through. Wow, that speaker just burst into my ear. Then just all
thanks,
of a sudden.
Chase.
And the 71 car giving McNally a big hurry up through the corner. So actually, whilst our race leading is Bishop and Cooper having a great battle, there's a little bit of pushing and shoving that's getting colourful sort of mid-pack. And it is going to be Maya Bishop through Envirowaste for the... she's got one more lap to go. Cooper looking up the inside. And red light. And I'm picking...
Presumably that's for the car in turn 4 there, is it?
I'm actually... No. I think they're going to call someone into the infield. Oh, no. There's something down there.
Well, who says youth mini-stock races are tame? This has been a blooming good race.
Well, it has. It's a great race, but it's interesting that car would sit there for 4 laps.
Yeah.
You think, yeah, well, I've seen Frankie Wayman Jr. parked on the front straight for longer. Anyway.
Well, perhaps the referees have gone out to get a hot dog or something.
Yeah, well, Maya Bishop there.
Did you not give him a burger? Oh, I mean, you did? Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Food tameth the beast. As the super saloons are gridding up in the pit chute. And the 11 car just being pushed, taken to the infield. Now, I'm wondering if that's for something like goggles or something's coming off the competitor, because there certainly didn't seem to be anything with the 11 car that suggests that they've done too much wrong. And 97 of McSweeney being sent. No, they're going to call the race, are they? No, they've called the race. Flick the yellow on.
I was enjoying that.
Well, my gut was telling me that was going to get interesting. At least there was going to be some angry parents at the end of it anyway. Because my little angel would never do anything wrong, Tony. That's the problem.
Oh, I see. Yes, okay.
My little angel syndrome doesn't come into any form of sport.
Now, I'm going to give you the points and the grids for this is the Super Saloon final, the Super Saloon racing for the Canterbury Super Saloon Championship. It ended up with 3 cars tied on 20 points. That was Trevor Elliott, Paul Berg and Ian Burson. And they tossed a 3-sided coin, and it ends up with the 21 of Ian Burson and the 27 of Trevor Elliott on the front row, with the 76 of Paul Berg and the 58 of Richie Taylor on the second row of the grid. So these guys are racing 20 laps, hard out, flat out, to win the Canterbury Super Saloon Championship, which is kind of even more impressive than the South Island Saloon Championship. And here we go, we're racing. Trevor Elliott on the outside, Burson on the inside. They go side by side into 1 and 2. There's nothing between them. There's Archie Bargee further back, though. What have we got? Roger Nees and
I think
Owen Dixon.
Oh, you're right, it is Owen Dixon in there.
Getting tangled up in turn 1 at the back of... an incident that happened and unfolded in front of them, and I couldn't quite see who was involved in that incident, but they were taking evasive action and they've got tangled up. No doubt we'll see a Burger King replay on our little monitor here very shortly. It's great having a Pits TV here, because up in the commentary box we get these little replays so we can tell you guys about things that otherwise we might have missed. So there'll be a complete restart for that race. It was here we go, Burger King replay coming up now. And we can see Elliott and Burson out front, racing cleanly. And it looks as though Peter Dixon going in. No, there it is there.
Owen Dixon climbed into the back of the 47 car.
Yep, Owen Dixon climbed into the back of the 47 car, and Roger Nees spins up to avoid and possibly just contacts Dixon. Hard to tell if he contacts him or not.
He has contacted him, you just have to see the front of his car.
Oh, yep, there's little bumpers they hit there, yes, and indeed you can see that on, they're checking out the front of the car, and 95 Owen Dixon pulls up to get his car checked out as well. These guys, yeah, there's a definite dink in the front of the 811, but it's still mobile, still racing. I don't think it's affected any of the mechanical components, it's just the bodywork, I think, and they'll be just checking the steering and suspension on the 95 car.
Paul Berg's gone to the infield also, unfortunately. So he had a great run in that previous race with Pete Dixon.
He really did.
Interesting, when I wandered down the pits just before and you guys were doing the pole shuffle, I was overheard a conversation that involved Ray Stewart, and they were talking about how age affects drivers, and so the person who was the lead person talking had made quite an indication that some guys are just getting a bit old for the sport, and and age has a barrier. And it's fair to say Ray Stewart, in his very calm demeanour, may not have agreed in its entirety.
Well, I can remember Norm Butler racing in this grade, and he was, in his 70s, I think, at that time?
Yeah, I think most of us can remember Norm Butler racing at some point.
True.
Oh dear, it won't be long before Basil Jones makes a comeback or something like that, eh? Actually, we joke about this, but in the pits I was talking to Doug Smith, then Terry Hearn wandered over, and then standing across the pits was Wayne Andrews. It was like a retirement home for Speedway drivers down there.
There you go.
As we're back in the starters' hands, and it looks like we've got just that one gap. Just the one gap there, Tony.
Yep. So Paul Berg pulled out, Owen Dixon at the back with Roger Nees, and we're green and racing. Took a while. 27, Trevor Elliott. 21, Ian Burson out front. They're jinking it out for the lead of this race, and Dixon coming up the inside there trying to snaffle third, but Richie Taylor's got other ideas about that, and 492 McManaway in 5th place at the moment, keeping an eye on those front 4. It's tight as they go through 3 and 4. The cars bouncing around a little bit, some staying low, some venturing high. I think the track's going to reward those who go high a little bit later on. Some of them will have set up for that. It's 20 laps, don't forget. It's a big distance on this track at this time of the night. Out front, Ian Burson kicks it off the ripple strip and launches the car out of turn 4. Front wheels in the air, back down the front straight and into 1 and 2. He's got about a car and a half length over the 27 of Trevor Elliott. Dixon in the 11 car, closing on the back of Elliott. There's a gap of about 5 or 6 car lengths back to Richie Taylor, who looks as if he's biding his time a little bit, trying to take it a little bit more carefully. The car's bunching up behind him. That's the cars of McManaway, Simon, Ricky Bolton, Phillips. They're all bunched in the tighter there. And we've got one pulled to the infield. That's Burson in the 21 car. Must be an engine issue, I would say. Car looks okay, but definitely lost power and pulled to the infield. So now the battle at the front is 11, Peter Dixon, and 27, Trevor Elliott. They're pretty much side by side as they come out of turn 1 and 2. And it's neck and neck down the back straight past the Value Cars grandstand into Envirowaste turn. 27 down low, 11 up high. This is where Dixon was racing Berg for all of that last race. He knows that part of the racetrack intimately at this point of the evening. Long way back to the 492 of Campbell McManaway, who's holding off the 58 of Richie Taylor. Paul Simon's in there as well, holding back Phillips and Ricky Bolton. Out front, it's still a battle. Trevor Elliott just has it, nose in front for most of the lap. Dixon working that outside line, trying to get a bit more hookup out of turn 2. He gets his nose in front going down the back straight, but Elliott's got the line into Envirowaste, and he should come out ahead as he comes out of 4. They're still side by side down the front straight, nothing in it. You get the feeling that Dixon's just pulling ahead another lap or 2, and he may do enough to be able to drop down in front of Elliott. There comes the gap now as he goes past the Value Cars grandstand. And he's keeping that car up high. He's set up for that high line. He obviously thinks that's where the grip is. Elliott comes back at him out of 4. There's still not a lot between these two, but the momentum has shifted to Dixon in the 11 car. Long way back to the 492 of Campbell McManaway, who's got past the 58 of Richie Taylor, and a long way back further then to the 7 of Paul Simon. Still neck and neck out front. There's 9 laps completed, and they've been very tight, very close laps between Trevor Elliott and Peter Dixon in the 11 car. Dixon just seems to be opening up a little bit of a gap now, just finding a little bit more grip on the outside line, but you get the feeling that could evaporate in an instant if he just makes a small mistake. It's that tight. 492 Campbell McManaway just not able to make much of an impact on these front 2. And he's pulling away from the 58 of Richie Taylor, who just doesn't seem to have the car under him to be able to come back at McManaway. Out front, that's 11 laps completed now, and Dixon has, I guess, close to a car length over the 27 of Trevor Elliott. It's tight though. Elliott's staying with him. Elliott venturing a little higher on the track in the straights now, and he finds a little bit more grip there. Comes back at Dixon through 3 and 4, and then Dixon pulls away down the front straight. That seems to be the pattern. That's where Dixon's quickest. Out of 4 down the front straight. Elliott seems to be able to close the gap as they head into 3 and 4. McManaway just starting to close the back on the back of the 27 car now. A few more raindrops on the commentary box window too. This track may be getting just a little slipperier as the race progresses. Elliott about 2 car lengths back off Dixon now. I think Dixon's worked him over well and truly here, and I think Dixon, unless he makes a mistake, can bring this one home. Although having said that, we're still on lap 13, 7 laps to go. McManaway trying to close on the back of these two. Oh, Dixon goes in deep there, and Elliott keeps it tight and is right on the back of the 11 car again now. The 2 different lines of these races telling 2 different stories as Elliott gets his nose in front but has to pull out of it through 3 and 4, and that allows Dixon the advantage to get back in front again. This is a masterclass of Super Saloon racing between these 2 guys. Racing their line to perfection, trying to work out the other, trying to psych the other out of position. Elliott has just got the inside line working to perfection. He's side by side with Dixon there. Dixon just pulls ahead as they go across start finish again. And you get the feeling that McManaway's closing the gap ever so slightly on these front 2 and increasing the gap back. Richie Taylor pulls off. He's had enough. That's it. He's out of it. And so it's really a battle between these 3. They're half a lap ahead of the 4th placed car, the 34 of Ray Stewart. So we're down to 17 laps now, and it's side by side down the back straight. Dixon just gets his nose in front. There's nothing between these 2. It's tight as. And slowly but surely the 492 is closing. Another couple of laps and McManaway would be right on the back of these 2, but I don't think he's going to have enough laps left
2 to go
to make it work. There's 2 to go. The white's in Brian's hand. Further back in the field, there's plenty of close racing. It's great stuff, but all eyes on the front here. 27, Trevor Elliott gets his nose in front. Last lap, and he's got the lead over the 11 of Dixon. Dixon throws it in hard into 1. He's absolutely on the ragged edge there, and still Elliott comes out of 2 ahead. Down the back straight into 3. Will Dixon throw it in? I don't think he's got enough. I thought, Elliott hits the bump and slows up. Dixon right on the tail of the 27 car, but Elliott wins it.
Canterbury champs won by 0.124 of a second, and Trevor Elliott just showing he deserved to win that race. Beautifully done as the rest of the pack follows through. Trevor Elliott conserved his tyres to the max. He could have gone nuts, he could have burned it off, he could have hit that rut too many times. He was backing off for turn 1 miles out and just rolling. You can see the flame coming out the exhaust. That's raw fuel. That's lifting off. So he ran it down. You could see the brakes glowing. He worked his car beautifully. So in those final 3 laps, he was able to take over the lead. And I don't think Dixon had much left in it.
No, I don't think he did. And lap times on that last lap, Elliott an 18.69, Dixon an 18.58, and the fastest car on that last lap by some margin, Campbell McManaway an 18.35. So McManaway did save the best for last. He was catching those front 2, and another couple of laps, it would have made it very, very interesting indeed. If we look at our Burger King replay TV, and we can see earlier on in the race when Ian Burson was leading, and the battle between Elliott and Dixon was just beginning, and then Burson pulls off there in a heap of sideways. What goes on? Tyre? Flat tyre.
Flat tyre. Oh, just watching that replay there,
yeah.
Just how close Trevor Elliott was to losing that rear tyre, hitting that rut, and but Ian Burson, he'll have to fight another day.
Yes, you can see the left rear is shredded there, and so that's unfortunate, but it happens. But there's your race win. There's your checkered flag for the 27 car of Trevor Elliott.
And they've just sent the productions out, and Trevor Elliott's almost gritted amongst them too, so you might chuck them in for the 3rd heat of the Canterbury Production Saloon Champs there, Tony.
Oh, goodness me. Yes, that would be interesting. A little bit of light rain out there. I don't think it's going to derail the rest of our meeting because we've only got basically 2 races to go. The final heat for the Production Saloons and the final for the Saloons, of course, the Speed Week series. Now, we've had 2 heats for the production Saloons. They're running the standard Speedway New Zealand 3-heat format, and I can tell you that there are 3 cars tied for the lead on 23 points. Matt Sherlock in the 3NZ, David Phileas in the 68C, and Aaron Prattley carrying the pride of Germany for all to see in the 34C BMW. They're all on 23 points. 2 back is Andy Bennett in the 5 car on 21, and 2 back from him is defending champion Stephen Palmer in the 78. So those are the guys that have got a realistic chance of taking out this Canterbury Production Saloon Championship. And off the front, we've got the 34 car.
Aaron Prattley.
Aaron Prattley, who's one of our front runners, of course, and the 78 of Stephen Palmer, who's in with a chance if those other guys fall over. We go further, we look where the others are back in the pack. Sherlock is back on the second to last row of the grid, and David Phileas is right with him as well. So it's game on for Aaron Prattley in the 34 car here. If he can bring it home, keep that car ahead of Sherlock and Phileas, he'll be Canterbury Production Saloon champion. And we're green and racing, and Prattley already making no joke of it, just streaking off into turn 1 in the lead. But the front-wheel drive 78 of Palmer there just gets better traction out of turn 2, gets his nose in front. He runs high, tries to squeeze Prattley out near the wall. Prattley comes back at him into 3. Prattley doesn't need to do this. Prattley doesn't need to race Palmer. He can let Palmer go and just hold on to a solid 2nd or 3rd place here, and he'll win this championship. Behind him, big gaggle of cars.
Don't underestimate the power of these ruts either, because these cars are running narrow little rooms, small tyres, and those ruts, particularly the front-wheel drive cars, when they get a push through 3 and 4, Tony, can roll tyres, pop tyres very easily. Absolutely.
So another lap down for the 78 car of Stephen Palmer. Behind him, neck and neck, Brad Johnson in the 9 and the 34 of Aaron Prattley. Behind him, we go back to the 3NZ car, who's come through from near the back of the field. Wow, 3NZ, Matt Sherlock. What's he got in that machine? Man, has he made up some places in the last couple of laps. He's running the outside line. He's got past Prattley. Prattley will not be happy with that. And now 3 wide into turn 1. Is this going to end in disaster? Cam Lancashire from Nelson trying to get involved in that as well. And Steph Cornish further back too. So Matt Sherlock absolutely on a charge here. He's stepped it up another gear. Perhaps he's taken the blocks off the pedals. I don't know what he's done, but this 3NZ car is a different machine to what we saw earlier in the night. He's running the outside line to perfection. He's challenging for the lead with Palmer now, and Prattley back in 4th place. All we can do is watch him disappear into the distance. Some great racing from Matt Sherlock. He's 3NZ for a reason, and this is the reason. You're seeing it now. He's a big game player. Here it is, last heat, Canterbury Championships. He's bringing his big game to the track. 78, Stephen Palmer trying to make it hard for him, but Sherlock running that outside line to perfection and gets his nose in front. We've got a back marker that's going to come into play. That's the 17 Nelson car of Zoe Cameron, I think it is. And that's going to be a factor for Sherlock, but he's running the high line so well that it's really not going to impede his progress at all to get past the 17 car. Palmer runs up high to get past as well, and those two just carry on their merry way. 3rd place, Brad Johnson in the 9 car. Hasn't had a lot of luck in the first 2 heats, but he's making it count now. And Aaron Prattley, I beg your pardon, trying really hard to catch up with the leaders, but that rear-wheel drive BMW just struggling on this track, which is effectively getting a sprinkle of moisture out of the sky at the moment, with a very light drizzly rain, just keeping the track surface quite moist. So out front, we're still going with the 3NZ car of Sherlock. He's about to pass up the inside of another back marker, and yes, he makes the pass on the white flag lap with just 1 lap to go. So it's all Matt Sherlock's championship, this. Oh, what's happening down there? We've got a car into the wall, we've got a car into another car. That's Steph Cornish involved and Alan Bailey in the 91 car, but it's not going to affect the front of the race. Coming through EnviroWaste for the last time and winning the Canterbury Production Saloon Championship, 3NZ Matt Sherlock. 2nd place, 78 Stephen Palmer. And then we go back to the 9 of Brad Johnson. the 11 of Lancashire, and Aaron Prattley in the 34. We're going to cut across to Jason the pits with an interview now.
Okay, here we go, folks, back here for the Canterbury Super Saloon Champs, which is something else that we've had tonight. And this man, third spot, I mean, you're sort of like a bit average all night, and then all of a sudden you pulled the rabbit out of the hat, and you were closing up fairly quickly on them.
Yeah, no, the car was good. I went into the first corner and it leaned over a bit, and it just felt like it wanted to go, and I thought, I've got a good car here. The boys have done a good job. Matt, we've had a bit of hand from Tiny, from the 3NZ Mac car, so it's been bloody good.
And it must be a bit of a, I suppose, a bit of a reward for some, average performances.
Last year we didn't really have the right car. I wished I had my car the year before, the old car, but now I'm starting to feel the car. This car, I wasn't going to go New Zealand title, but I'm going now because this car, I feel it's got some, And
a brand spanking new track up at a Huntley anyway, so you're probably going to get a pretty good track to race on as well.
Yeah, I heard that. It was only a couple of weeks ago I decided to go do the New Zealand title because, I'd just been a bit disappointed in the car and stuff, but Matt's been getting a few hands from, help from Tiny and Cam, and they've been doing well. They've been getting it right.
Congratulations on third spot, Campbell.
Yeah, good one. Thanks, sir.
Right, don't break away from us just yet. We're going to go over and try and catch up with Pete Dixon, who got second, and we'll try and catch up with Trev Elliott first, actually. So, Trev, can we get you to come over? Sorry, folks, we're not going to break away because we can see the saloons are starting to head up and they've got a full wide salute to do. So just while we are waiting for that to happen, Trev and Elliott, fantastic, mate. That was a race and a half, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, that was what we come for, eh? That was absolutely, Pete, he got a car length on me. I got it back, then I got a car length on him. Next thing, the bonnet was back again. Oh, mate, that was awesome. And his car was very, very fast on the high line, and mine's fast on the low line, and that's just the perfect race.
Oh, you must be stoked, Canterbury champ. That's what you came for. Got the result.
Yeah, I missed out last year by the run off, and I had it the year before. And this is a tough one to get, so I'm happy with it.
Congratulations, Trevor Elliott.
Thanks very much.
Okay, we'll just buzz over to Pete Dixon if he's floating around somewhere. We've got some stuff happening out on the track, and we'll just try and get him sorted out. Okay, he's just going to come down and catch up with us very quickly. We get into a bit of light here. And, of course, Pete Dixon, second spot. This car looks a bit different on the track, but it's certainly doing the job.
Yeah, well, this is the first time it's actually done all right. It's usually bunny hopping and stuff like that, so we're just working at it. So hopefully we can get it sorted a bit better.
And you must be happy with the progress tonight?
Yeah, well, this is our third meeting and something totally different. And, we got second and could have won. It could have won either way, so pretty happy.
Absolutely. Just quickly, good sponsors?
Yeah, Debbie the Webster, Motul, Hypermac Racing, Heb Construction. Who else have we got? New Zealand Composite, got Speed World, and Duratec Construction.